This is part 6 of Troop 566 Coleman 3-burner liquid fuel stove tutorials, and this is about troubleshooting the stove. In this video about troubleshooting the Coleman 3-burner stove, we assume that you have viewed the entire series of videos on the stove. Each of these have valuable advice on using the stove. When seeking information, advice, or replacement parts from Coleman, you need to find the model number of your stove. This is most easily determined by looking on the Coleman sticker on the back of the lid of the stove. It's right here, at the bottom right hand corner of the sticker. This is problem number 1. What if the burner flame is pulsing or it sounds like it has a heartbeat? This is usually quite simple. You need to pump the stove. You need to pump the stove properly though. If this doesn't solve the problem, perhaps you have a faulty generator. That is the fuel tube that goes across the burner, and Coleman has replacement parts for that. Problem number 2 is what if there is a big orange fireball in the stove or a flooded stove? This problem usually occurs during the lighting of the stove. It comes from too much fuel and not enough oxygen, and the Coleman fuel being in a liquid and not gaseous state. Pretty blue flames are ideal. Orange flames are signs of trouble, and the big fireball is a big problem which is usually easily solved. The most common problems leading to a big orange fireball are 1. Turning on the main control knob before a flame is present on the center burner before lighting. Not turning the main control knob on fast enough or far enough during the lighting process. As fast as you can, as far as you can. 3. Leaving one or more of the end burner valves on without having lit that burner. 4. Having the stove go out from the prior use by running low on fuel or pumped air. 5 is not turning on the main control off tight enough upon the last use, the previous use. 6. An aging main control valve that leaks or needs very firm turning off. This is easy to detect by pumping the stove with a tank removed from the cold stove and observe if any fuel escapes from the end of the generator rod. 7. The generator rod is ready for replacement. And 8. There is dirt in the system that is blocking the passages. The fix for the big orange fireball is simple and always effective. The problem is that any of the above causes will flood the manifold, the part of the stove that connects the generator rod to all 3 burners with Coleman fuel in it that is liquid but not gaseous. Any new gaseous fuel and oxygen that is delivered from the tank gets stuck in the puddle of liquid gas building in the manifold and gets converted back to more liquid gas. To clean out the manifold gas, you need to first 1. Allow the stove to completely cool. Part 2 is to remove the fuel tank and the grate. Number 3 is then locate a safe area free from ignition sources where a fuel spill will not be a concern. 4 is have a friend help you transport the stove, one of you on each end of the stove, in the same position as operation, level with the ground. Do not place body parts over the burner areas in case of ignition. 5 is expect up to 2 cups of Coleman fuel to be dumped out in the next 2 steps. Coordinate with your friend a way to rotate the stove horizontally until it is in an inverted position with all 3 burners facing down to the ground. In this position, you should rock the stove back and forth, end to end and side to side, until no more Coleman fuel spills out from the upside down burners. Then, for part number 8, you reassemble the stove and light it correctly. The final step is that any additional orange flame should be short-lived and perfect blue flames should return in a couple of minutes. Problem number 3 is about fuel leaks. After years of service, small fuel leaks may develop. These could occur around the main valve, the lighting lever, the fuel cap, or the pump shaft. Fuel coming from the pump shaft requires a trip to the Coleman Service Center or old-time camping or hardware stores. This is very rare. Fuel coming from the filler cap is usually an easy one. Inspect the threads on the tank and the cap. There is rarely damage, but it can be a more serious problem. After many years, the seal in the cap can wear. You can usually make it work a few more times by tightening it with pliers. Most camping and hardware stores carry replacement filter caps for just a couple of dollars. Over time, the collar that keeps the seals and the packing intact can slowly come loose. These collars have flat sides for easy tightening. Just a tiny partial clockwise turn will generally stop a leak there. Be sure to wipe up any spilled gas and dispose of it carefully. You should move the stove to an alternate site if the original site becomes damp or wet with fuel.